it says 17% is the average gap in earnings between men and women worldwide. And 20% of businesses in the MENA region are owned by women. So those I understood, but I don't understand what the 75% of our discretionary wage is going to be done or not done. You should, from now on, when you're reading one of these articles, you really need to, what did I hear yesterday? 90% of all dentists choose choose water pick or some other type of electric toothbrush. But you could, if I interviewed 5 and 4 liked the toothbrush, I would be able to say 80%. And I can say worldwide if I chose my five dentists to be in different countries. So you really need to read carefully. In the States, for instance, in a lot of I'm going to say teenage young people's magazines where they do all these surveys about, wanting to be married or all of whatever goes on there. And it will give you a percentage, but they'll say they interviewed 1,000 students between the age of 15 and 20. That's a drop in the bucket, right, for the number of kids in the United States that are between 15 and 20. But you have to read the small print to see where they are. And it didn't tell you where they were. So I don't know how much you know about the United States, but I would guess that kids in New York City were probably way different than they were going to be in Utah. Okay, so no questions. Well, that's incredibly good.
Can we have a review for chapter 3?
A what?
A review.
Oh yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going back in there actually. Okay, so there's a lot in chapter 3, but we did very little. So let's just go back through and make sure that you know the pieces we did. We did the mean, median, and mode, and everybody was happy with that. That should be old hat anyway. The word parameter on page 57 you may want to mark. Just for language sake, if we compare parameters, it means that we're talking about a population. So it could be the mean of a population that we would compare, or the standard deviation of a population that we're comparing. So it says a parameter is a characteristic of population. And a statistic is a characteristic of a sample. So we use the word statistic freely, but it really is not a free word. In other words, when we say we've got a statistic, it means that we've started with a sample, not a population. We have a parameter if we start with a population. But I want to do one that's on page 62, because we have people that are in business here. And in this one, and this is how inventory would work. This company bought 95 men's suits for a regular price of $400. This is at the top of page 62. They then had a spring sale, and they reduced them to $200. And then they had a clearance, and they charged $100. And what we want to know is, what was the weighted mean? In other words, on average, what did they get for their suits? So, is there a reason that the whiteboard is on? This one?
No. You can just I was trying to get it set up so we could do the things at once.
And can we?
It looks like we can. It just didn't want to work this morning. Maybe tomorrow.
Giselle, did you get my message?
Yes.
I have tried everything, because I've only got Macs. I've tried every piece of software that there's nothing compares, and Megastats doesn't work. Okay, so I've got suits, and I've got money.
Sir, please switch to a black marker.
Oh, I hope so. Okay, so I have suits, and I have money. How many suits did they sell for $400?
95.
How many? 95? And how many suits did they sell at their first sale?
126.
One?
26. No, 126.
6? And at the second sale?
79. What, 100?
So you can see here that the mean is not just going to be 400 times the total. In a sense, what we're looking at is that we have 400 that we're going to write 95 times. Yes, if I wrote out or added up my bill, I would have 400, 400, 495 times. I would have 200, 200, 200, 126 times, and I'd have 179 times. Does that make sense? So if I was going to find on average what they made on their suits, I would say on this first one they had 400 times 95. Is that right? 38,000? Or is it 3,800?
Yes, 38,000. Yes, correct.
38,000?
Yes.
Okay, and then I would have 126 times 2, well, let me write it the other way, 200 times 126.
252.
And I have 100 times 79.
79.
So all told, they got $36,900 for their suits. How many suits did they sell?
I don't know.
So the total number here will be 300?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so what I want to know is price per suit. And you see why that's important, because they paid the same price for these suits. So we want to know what they got back. We call this a weighted mean because some of the suits brought in $400, some of the suits brought in $200, and the last amounts of suits brought in $100. So all told, they got $36,900. And if we want to find out price per suit, what are we going to do now? And
Does anyone see a problem with that?
Yeah, it should be
Please?
7.
which one?
Something.
Well, come on, don't be like that. Just tell me what it is.
What is the total?
7.
What is it? Yeah, what did I do?
7.
7?
1.
1?
1, 0, 0.
Boy, I could get away with murder, thank you.
Nobody would speak up.
No,
They were hesitating.
and I'll just fly along. Okay, so if I had the calculator on there, I would be better. Is it on there? Can I get it
When
on?
you log in, it'll come up, yeah.
Yeah. Just how do I do it?
Just log into the machine.
Okay. Then I won't have to depend on you to tell me how to do this. Or them to add up. Okay, so how much per suit did they get? So you understand what this means, that for all the 300 suits sold, they got $237 each, on average. That's how we would say on average. So, any problem with this?
No.
which is the, in this particular case, which is the frequency? Do you see? If I wanted to make this like our frequency, our group data, because we've said here that we want dollars per suit, then the dollars must be in list 1, and the number of suits must be in list 2. Suits are frequency here. Do you see? So on the calculator, let me just get it up so we can... and the real key to doing these is to look to the units at the end. I want money per suit, so suit must be the frequency. Okay, so in list 1, I'm going to I'm going to put money in. I need to repeat, are you sure you understand which to put in which line? I'm looking for money per suit. Money must be in line 1. So, and here I'm going to put the number of suits. So that's 95, 126, and 79. And I'm going to ask the calculator to find the average, one variable, list 1, but my frequency is in list 2. And for the people without the upgraded operating system, it's list 1, comma, list 2. And the price per suit is $237. And we would, of course, check N to be 300, make sure that we have the same number of suits as the number in the question.
Miss, can you repeat it again?
Can I?
Repeat it again.
Okay, and let me go back to this part, how important this is. Because if I'm asking for suits per dollar, which would be bizarro, I might get a button for $1, right? So I wouldn't be doing that. This is asking how much money did I get per suit. So I know that the money must be in list 1. I'm finding average about money, so I'm going to total the amount of money spent, and I'm dividing it by the number of suits. Okay? This is the key. So in calculator, this is list 1. I'm putting the price of the suits in list 1, and I'm putting the number of suits sold, the frequency of the suits sold at $400 into list 2. Okay? Anyhow, let's make sure that you're really thinking here, that when you give me an answer, if you had done it backwards, you would have ended up, you would have said that there were 700 suits. Would you know that that was probably wrong? If you had put it backwards, the calculator would have totaled this as frequency and it would have given you 700.
You can do it if you just go to one variable stats again and put your numbers back.
Yeah, I'll do it. So this would be 237 if you put it in wrong. And I just want to show, because you should, so this would have been list 2. List 1.
There's something to have to do.
Okay, so now, first of all, the suit is selling, if we pretend we've forgotten the units, the average price of the suit was $1.01. Well, how could it possibly be when the least amount was sold for $100? So there's no way on average they sold for $101. Also, it says that in this reading it this way, there were 700 suits, and that's not so. the reason I want you to make sense of your answer is that many times, you know what, I remember one question with a helicopter, and, you know, people were buying helicopters for like $47. You know, so let me put this back. And if that was the case, we'd all be flying here. Very cheap. Okay, so we know that the average, that means how much money did they get for their suits totally? How much money?
118.
Altogether, how much money?
Altogether,
The 71,100, or I could multiply 237 by the total number of suits and still end up coming up to the same thing. Yeah? Okay, the second part of the question says, what was the weighted mean price of the suit? Okay, we've done that. It's 237. Springer's paid $200 a suit for 300 suits. They also paid every salesman $25 commission for each one sold. So the cost of, what's the cost of one suit to the company?
237.
What did they pay for them? They paid 220, yes. They paid $225 a suit, yes? $200 for the suit, $25 for the commission. And how much did they make per suit?
$25.
They made $12 a suit, yes? Do you see why understanding the weighted mean is so important? If they only sold the suits, all of them for $400, that's something different, but they had a sale. So you had to figure out the weighted mean. With the suits sold for $100 and $400, on average they spent $237. They got $237 per suit. It cost them $225. $200 for the suit, $25 for commission. They made $12 per suit. Yes? Let's do another one. Let's look at your grade point average, because that also is a weighted mean. What else could I say? Okay, so when do you know how they work out your grade point average? That's a weighted mean. It wouldn't be weighted if all courses were the same number of credits, but that's not true, right? Some credits, some of them are worth 5, some are worth 6, some are worth 8. Well, no, I think 6 is the biggest, yes? Yes. So let's say here, we had something like this. That's the number of credits the courses are worth. Okay, on the front cover of the handout we gave you, it said so many credits for this course, yes? Okay. And there's 6. And I think if you look on your transcript, after whatever course you take, it tells you how many credits they are worth. Usually it's the number of hours you have a week with them, but not always, because if you have a lab, there's a different scale on this. And I may not be right here. I think stats is 6 though, but the other one, so you know the weightings for A, B, C, and D, yes? So if you get an A, you get a 4. If you get a B, you get a 3. C, a 2. D, a 1. And everything else, a 0. Okay, so what are you going to get in stats?
A.
Okay, good. Works for me. So the grade is a 4. And what about here in chemistry?
8.
We can't get A's in all of it because it won't show, okay? So let's say you're going to get a B here. That in communications you get a D, and in art you get an A. Is that okay? So here we're going to have, you've got 24 points here. You've got 15 here. You have 4 here and 8 for a total of, I better add these since I've been adding so badly.
No, what's 4 5? No, okay.
24 plus 15 plus 4 plus 8. So you have a total of 51, and how many credits if we add this up here, we're going to get 11, 15, 16, 17. And what do we get when we divide 51 by 17? So you have a grade point average of 3.
Why divided over 17?
This is 17. This is a number of credits. Okay, so if you got all A's, you would have had 4 times this, 4 times this, 4 times this, 4 times this. Your grade point average would be 4. Right? So getting an A in art didn't help your grade point average as much as an A in chemistry would have done, because chemistry is worth 5 credits. So this is also considered to be a weighted mean because everything isn't worth the same. Do you see? There's another one in here. Let's look at question 13. So I don't know if you've worked the stock market, but sometimes, in this case, they're buying shares of Oracle, an information technology company, and the share prices change. So before you can sell the shares, if you want to make a profit, you need to know what we call the weighted mean. So in number 13, she bought 300 shares at $20. She bought 400 shares at $25, and the remaining 4 shares at $23. So let's put that on.
What is it?
So we're going to say price per share and number of shares. And the first one she bought 300 of them at $20. And then she went back a few months later and ended up buying 400 at $25. And the last time she bought the 400 at 25. Is that right? At 20? Did I miss one? 23.
It's the other way. I mean,
You're heading back.
Yeah. Bad.
Mistake.
I've forgotten what she bought now. What was it? 3? Is this right? And you see why, well, I will say that the stock market is addictive. Okay, so she bought these. Now, if she just stuck this out, fine. Now the price has gone up. She doesn't sell them and make $5 on each one. She buys more. So do you see? She's now up to how much she's paid for the shares. Do you see that? By just buying more at 25, her average is more than 20. And then she tries to look after that problem by now buying them when they've dropped a bit. I don't know if you've ever been in a small airplane, but there's something called dolphining it when you land, and that's when you're coming in nicely to land and you pull back too soon. So the thing goes to hit, but then you panic. So you pull up, and the next thing you know, the airplane is about 2 seconds behind you, but it's going down the runway like this. And that's exactly what's happening here. She's buying and selling, hoping to somehow even out what's going on in the stock market. Do you understand what I'm saying? If she's stuck with her original buy, she probably would have ended up making more money, but she didn't. So what we want to know is on average, because if she was going to sell now, we want to know what she should sell it at in order to make a profit. So we want to know price per share. Again, units, so important. What am I going to put in list 1?
The price?
The price, absolutely. So, so in here, first she bought at 20, then she bought at 25, then she bought at 23. I have been in this madness with the stock market. And I guess 1999, 2000, 2001, when the technology stocks were just insane, I wouldn't sell unless I made 100%. And then, of course, I lost because I was greedy. Okay, and again, you can do this by hand. You know how much money she spent here, 6,000.
Yes.
And you know here she spent 1,000.
10,000.
10,000?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, so she's got 6,000, 10,000, and this one?
9,200.
Yeah. So I could have done it like this. I could have found out how much money she spent altogether, found out how many shares she has altogether and divide, or I can ask the calculator to do it. Stats, calculate one variable, list 1 and 2. Did I put them in the right order?
Yes.
Okay, and let's say I don't remember, but I go ahead. I still know that the number of shares she has is 1,100. If I had it backwards, my end value here would only be 68. Also, I'm getting an average of $22.91. Questions? So if they came back on the market at $25, she could sell those and she would make, well, nothing because commission would take it away, but she'd have to wait till it got a little higher. But she would know she needs to have something over $22.91. Questions about weighted means? You know, there's all sorts of ways of doing this. I don't know if you're calorie counters, but if you were counting calories and there were so many calories per gram, you would have to figure out how many grams of the food you ate and multiply it by the calories and total up and divide by total number of grams. Okay, anything else in chapter 3 you want to see? Okay, sorry, I was just going to go through and tell you what we didn't do in here. So the median is the middle mark, and there are times that we would say 50% of the people do this, or 75% of the people, that's the median. For the mode, we want to know the most popular. So that's more an inventory call than anything else.
Does that works out with the mode?
Mode, it's the most popular, right?
So I have to count them?
Yes, count them. The calculator doesn't do it for you. You just have to count the number that shows up most. In a frequency distribution, it's called the modal class, the bar that's the longest. Okay, and the geometric mean we do not do. We did the range, but we've been doing the range since we started. We didn't do the mean deviation. Variance and standard deviation we did yesterday. The empirical rule we did. So I'm on page 89. Advertising expenses are a significant component of the cost of goods sold. Listed below is a frequency distribution showing the advertising expenditures for 60 manufacturing companies located in the Southwest. Why does the word say estimate the mean and standard deviation? Why does the question say estimate? This is page 89.
It's not exactly, together.
It's because you have to use a midpoint, right? We do not have raw data, so we're estimating a mean and a standard deviation. So what am I going to do for 62? I want to know the mean and standard deviation of advertising expenditures. What column will I need first? Midpoint.
Which pages?
689. So back to this grade point average, because stats has so many credits, you might want to work in here. Yes? Stats, I'm sure, carries 6 credits. An A in stats gives you 24 total points.
I'm trying.
Okay, so what will the midpoint be of this first class? How big is this? What's the size of the class? If I were drawing bars, how wide would they be? 10? 25 to 35, they're 10 wide. The midpoint here would be 5, that's 30. And frequency is 5. And they're nice enough to total this for us, the 60. So how will we work mean and standard deviation here? In list 1, I'm going to put my midpoint. So 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And frequency? Which is the modal class here? Which is a modal class? The 45 to 55. We would say this is pretty much a symmetric normal curve here. Notice that 21 is in the center, and then I'm getting smaller and smaller again. Anyway, we'll see when we have all the pieces put together. So we're looking for the mean, calculate, one variable. I'm only caring about advertising cost. And list 1 and 2. And your first check here, n equals 60. You need to just get in the habit of doing that every time.
So, what did you put in list 1?
I put the midpoints in list 1. That's representative of the classes. Frequency is always in list 2. It's always in the second one we give the calculator. The new operating system even writes the word frequency in. they spend or are they giving? Okay, on average, how much does this company spend on advertising?
52?
And it's thousands, right? Do we agree? Is it thousands or tens of thousands? Millions. Oh my. What was I thinking? Okay, so what we want to know is 52 a nice package all very close to 52, or are we going to include the standard deviation? And we need to. So we're going to say that on average the company spends $52 million on advertising. Give or take how much? Is it a sample or is it a population?
Sample.
Sample.
11.
Yes.
32.
And I'm going to say give or take 11 million. In mathematical symbols, I should be doing this. Writing it like this.
What is the meaning of the symbol? Plus or minus?
It gives give or take, right? Mm-hmm. So I write it as give or take, but you can write plus or minus 11. So it will look like if I was to draw the normal curve. In the center here, I have 52 million. I'm going to add 11. I'm going to subtract 11. That's one standard deviation. What percent of the advertising budget will fall between 43 and 60 and 41 and 63? What percent? The empirical value, one that you need to engrave in your forehead. 68%. This will always be 68%. So it's a value that no matter whether I'm talking about advertising or the weight of fish or the length of leaves or the weight or height of students, it will all fall into this particular shape, and 68% will fall within one standard deviation of each side. So the reason that we give this is that means this is what we call dispersion. That we want to know, or range, we want to know how widely spread this is. Do they spend from 1 million to 100 million, or is it closely put together? So this is saying on average they spend 52, but I would say between 41 and 63 million is going to be 68% of their budget. So let's add on here. I'm taking 30 here. This is 74, and 19, and 85.
11?
I add on 11. Yeah, the standard deviation is 11, yes? So this gives me a whole sort of image of what's going on here. If they told me they spent $120 million on advertising, I would have to look again, because this is already telling me that by between 19 and 85 million is 99.7%. So anything past that, it's not that it couldn't happen. Notice that I don't make my graph attach onto the axes. There is a space here. There is a chance that somebody may only spend 10 million. There is a chance that somebody here might spend 100 million. But the normal curve, and almost everything is normally dispersed, we're saying this is the values between which they will spend their money. Questions on this? We will do the normal curve until almost the end of the course. If I wanted to find the median, how would I do that? I I would do cumulative frequency. So let's just do one of those. And the way I write it is like this. So how many times did they spend less than 25 million? Zero. And the number of times they spent less than 35? And 45? And 55? 36, 65. And this last one had better be N, right? Because in our picture, they never ever spent more than 75 million. Oh, wait, this last one should be 75. So remember, I'm putting this gap symbol in so that you know I'm starting at 25. And I don't know what advertising. And cumulative frequency. Okay, so up the side I need to get to 60, on the bottom between 25 and 75. So if I was going to do this on the calculator, I would put in list 1, well, I'll do it in 2. No, this one. In list 1, I would have 25, 35, 45. And in list 2, I would have the cumulative frequency. Which was 0, 5, 5, 15, 36, 52, and 60. What will my window be here will be the same as if I were graphing it, so I already have done that. 25 is my minimum, 75 is my maximum. I've just done my scale in scales of 10. And up the side I've gone 0 to 60, and I've done a scale of 5. What did I do here? Oh, please. Okay, and we know that in all cases this is going to look like a cliff. So, and it always starts at 0. Okay, so 100% is at 60. Where will I look for the median? much value will I find the median? Halfway, that's what it means, median, right? So at 30, okay, my median I'm getting is around, I don't know, 54. This is the only way you can find the median. Let me put it on here and see if I can look it up. Okay, so if I was looking here, what is this, 25, 35, 45? Okay, so the median looks like it's about 42. Is that right? 25? It didn't all fit on the graph. Well, I'm guessing about 54. Anyone not knowing how to do that, there is no other way when we start with group data to be able to find the median. You must draw the cumulative frequency, find halfway mark, and you're estimating again.
And just can you just explain how we put the numbers here?
Okay, so were you happy with this?
Yes.
Right? Less than 25, there was nobody. They never once spent less than 25 million on advertising. That's why I put this symbol in here. This means less than. And then less than 35 million, they did that 5 times. And less than 45, 15. I'm adding up, right? Do you see? Okay, once I've got them in the calculator, you see I've added because it's accumulating. Okay, under stat plot, I've chosen the first one. Thought, and it's the second graph choice, yeah? And you put them in list 1 and 2, did you?
Yes.
Okay, if you didn't put them in list 1 and 2, then you're going to tell the calculator at this time that you're in list 3 or 4 or 5 and 6 or wherever you put them. And my window, I put exactly what I had here.
Yeah.
The minimum value was 25, the maximum value was 75. For Y, I put in 0 to 60. Oh, I see what happened down here. That's better. Any questions?
Can you go back for the window?
Well, you see, originally I had the scale as being 10. But what it did is it started at, it gave values here that were unpleasant. It did 10, 20, 30, 40, right? I wanted it to start at 25. So now, if I put my line back in, I think I'll be more accurate. So now I truly am finished chapter 3. There are all sorts of amazing questions in here. I will leave you 2. Questions 85 and 86. Page 95, questions 85 and 86. On your assignment, if you have any questions, please come and see either Adam or I before Sunday. Is yours due Sunday or Monday? Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. Yeah. If you want to bring it early and have us go over it and explain it to you and redo it and get perfect, good idea. Until tomorrow. This is just a single class, right? I'm not cheating you of anything. Feeling better about this class? Oh, it's him that's unhappy about this class.
Yesterday I was looking for
Oh, what time?
afternoon.
Yeah, I have 4 hours in a row. But my office time is there, right? Yeah. I'll get out and put it onto the wiki. Everyone's still feeling okay? Does this mean you're